Okay, I'm starting another YouTube live stream. I'm talking with the Flat Earth people, and I'm looking for subscribers to my channel. So if you can subscribe to my channel, that would be great. Also, if you watch my videos, that would be great. And if you could just watch my videos that were not given to you via an advertisement, because from what I understand, advertisement video watches do not count to my video watch, and I need that to go up. So if you can watch my other videos, that would be great. I'm going to be talking with another, Flat Earth proponent. They are they are they are the people who believe in flat Earth. I don't know what else I'm going to say about that. I'm going to be talking with a person on Discord. He goes by the alias A Exist, and we're going to be doing a voice chat, and I'm going to see if I can start that right now. So 1 second. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, again.
Great. I want to thank you very much for joining me in this chat. Obviously, I'm here to talk with people who follow the concepts of flat Earth, and I'd like to get your take on that. So I'm just going to ask you some questions, and you answer any way you want to answer. That's fine with me. So let's start. So let's start. So my first question is, let's want to make sure. I see you point out the fact that my mic wasn't working or my audio was off. Okay, yeah, it's on. Good. I use OBS. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but OBS is like a tool you use to actually interface with social systems. And I usually turn my mic off because that way I don't want to have background noise. And I forgot that I turned it off, and my last video I had, it was all muted. But the good thing is at least it was text-based, so at least the majority of the activity showed up. Anyways, it's active, so I'm good with that. So I'll ask you my first question, which is, why do you follow the flat Earth concept?
Well, I've been questioning a lot of things from the mainstream in economics and in politics and such. So I was interested in hearing some people who claim the Earth was flat. So I was just curious. I'm quite open-minded, so I heard them out, and I was actually sort of in the start, but then I looked more into it, and I was fully convinced. Heard many arguments, so many observations, by different individuals, and it seems legit. And then I also saw people from the other side, hearing them out, and I didn't think the arguments were solid against it. I tried researching, trying to see poke holes in flat Earth and such, but I couldn't find any big ones, really.
Okay. Okie dokie. Thank you very much for that answer. Were you brought up to accept flat Earth? Was it something that your family followed? I'm going to say probably no, because you gave me the kind of idea from the previous answer that it was something that you probably came about with respect to seeing things in social arenas and that, and aspects of concepts of politics that you mentioned. But I'm going to ask it anyways, just to make sure, and it's in my list. That's why I'm asking it.
Yeah, I mean, I was brought up with the Globe, and I was also raised Christian. I've actually since become objectivist, which is a type of atheist, you could call it. So I'm probably one of the only atheists who are also flat earther. I saw you was earlier tried to ask why people believe in God. And yeah,
Yes.
interesting. I like.
Yes. Okay. Was there something in your life that was a stepping point for following Flat Earth? You did mention aspects that there were some things that you saw in that, and you did some kind of aspects of evaluation, for lack of a better way of saying that. But was there something explicit that sat there and said to you that this doesn't make sense and this does make sense? So, that the kind of like that point that pushed you over the railing. Pardon me for using English kind of parodies, but I can't think of any other way to say it, obviously. But was there something that basically made you come to the conclusion that this was something more point of fact correct than what maybe you understood previously?
Well, I've been flat earther for like 4 years now, so I don't remember everything. I remember watching the interview between Dave Weiss and a guy called High Impact Flicks, which I was following when it comes to politics and such. But he interviewed a flat earther.
Okay.
And I thought many of his points were very good. I don't remember that much from that interview, and I don't remember what fully pushed me over afterwards. But I've seen many debates too. So what's really pushed me over is like long distance observations specifically.
Okay.
But there are also one major thing when it comes to like the sky, which is not directly flat Earth, but have you heard of the moon terminator illusion?
If I did, I'm going to have to state that I don't remember it. If I heard it, I just don't remember the details. But in general, I don't have any concrete perception of that.
Yeah, that's the argument that I know, like most certainly destroys the solar system model. Not the globe model necessarily, but the solar system as it pertains to the moon reflecting the sun's light. Because at some points, the moon will not have its lit face point directly at the moon. It will be angled away. Doesn't happen always, but it is accepted by standard science that it does happen sometimes. And I tried desperately, or I tried really to understand their argument. But their argument was basically the sun and moon are on a plane, a 2D plane, and due to how your eyes work, they say, that plane curves around you. But that is like an equivocation between like the visual sphere. Like, when you look around, you have like a visual sphere around you because you can look in all angles. And what you're actually seeing, you are directly seeing at the sun and you are directly seeing at the moon. The point is, there's a straight line between the sun and the moon. And straight lines in normal perspective do not curve, do not appear to curve ever, and except if it's like a fisheye lens. But humans and normal cameras don't have fisheye lenses. It might be like slight distortion, but nothing major. So yeah.
Okay.
I can show you and
okay.
I give you premise. I can give you like a deductive argument or like
Right. Okay. My next question, actually, you may have just answered it, but I'm going to ask it again and just validate the fact that the statement you made probably is actually the answer to it. But my next question is, was there anything that stood out as questionable that you had difficulty with and Flat Earth appeared to be the answer? I think you answered this all just in your last comments. I think that was the answer to that. But would you agree with that? That the statement you just made was basically the answer to that question about, what did you have problems with respect to something that was explained before, and what you understand now?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really think that much about this before I heard about flat Earth. So this is afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have heard about the moon terminator illusion,
Mm-hmm.
but this is like the one that is most I understand the most. And
Okay.
I've debated many on this, and yeah.
Okay. Um, you have any friends that follow the flat Earth? Do all your friends follow the flat Earth? Do none of your friends follow the flat Earth? Like, what's your kind of like association? Like, your friend base and their actual interaction or acceptance, let's say, of flat Earth ideas?
I have no friends at all who are flat earthers.
Okay.
I really do not have any friends with mostly any of my opinions. I am a libertarian too, so like I know no libertarian either. So it's but I have them on the internet, you could say. Never met anyone in real life.
Are the people that you interact with on the internet, are they flat Earth people, or is it a combination, or
Well,
everybody?
my mission right now is to talk with people who are either libertarian or objectivists, and talk with them about flat Earth, and talk with flat Earthers
Okay.
about libertarianism, and also, and a lot of them already are libertarian, but many of
Okay.
them are still living in God and
Okay.
bad philosophy and such, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, like try to convince either side to
Yes.
also my position.
Okay. I'm going to apologize because every time I hear libertarian, I'm going, what is that? Libertarian. I just want to make sure that I have an understanding of the.
Can give you a definition.
Well, I've got it right now. Libertarian is a political philosophy emphasizing individual freedom, and I thought that's what it was, because I know that's like in the States they got the Libertarian Party, and they bring up that point all the time. I was, we're here for liberty, yada yada yada. But I'm thinking, isn't everybody for liberty? Emphasize individual freedom and limited government. Wow, they sound like conservatives. It emphasizes
No. I have to make a very strong distinction there. It's been conflated with conservatism and many other things
But
over the years.
but you do understand one of the main selling points of conservatism is limited government. That's one of their big selling points. You talk to any conservative, that's actually going to be a statement that they're going to say. They're going to say limited government. So I'm just saying the aspect of on Google, they come up saying limited government. I'm thinking, oh, are they conservatives?
Well. Well, I have to say, like, I do use my own definition of libertarian, and it's more historical or more conceptually correct, I would say. It's one who advocates that you have the freedom not to be aggressed upon or taken, So, like, I hold the non-aggression principle, and the government necessarily aggresses against you either by being the monopoly of law or
it's interesting because I'm just reading the rest of the statement they put into it. I'm thinking, and it said what you just basically said. I'm saying it sounds like it's taking the concept of liberal and conservative and somewhat combining them. Like liberalism, the aspect is there's no issue somewhat with government. In fact, it's actually considered very necessary, but this aspects of freedom is very heavily implied in the aspects of liberal-based, liberal-based politics, and conservative actually is on the other side of that. Conservatism actually, while they do try to purport that they do want that, a lot of times you see there's actually a lot of control from a conservative mentality. in that light, not the aspect of limited government per se, about do you get rid of the government so you're not controlled anymore. It's the aspects of really controlling society itself. So that's interesting. Again, like I just went over it because I'm thinking to myself, everybody's saying libertarianism. I see it on the time now on YouTube, especially what's going on in the United States. Libertarianism comes up a lot. I'm thinking, well, what do they mean by that? They're using liberal. Do they mean it's liberal? Do they mean it's something else? And I saw the aspect of it. I said, well, yeah, it's the aspect of freedom and limited government. Well, I've actually never heard limited government. I've heard freedom all the time, so I was kind of wondering exactly what it meant. But I apologize for diverging our conversation from what I actually
No problem.
started talking to you about, which obviously was flat Earth. I just wanted to clarify my mind based on the way you're presenting stuff, and that's the way you looked at things. But in general, those are the only questions I have right now because I came up with a list, and those are the only things I came up with. I know I'm going to come up with more later on, but that's my list. I don't have anything else to really ask questions about. I understand that this, from your explanation, was something new that you ran into. I got the impression that there were some things that you had explanations for, or you heard explanations of, that were problematic from your point of view, and that to some extent that you feel that the concept of a flat earth is more aligned to the way that you would perceive and understand things, and that I guess you'd say in the end it just seems more correct, even though I think you said that you're not specifically a flat earther per se, as much as you made the statement of concept. You are? Okay, because you made a statement and it sounded like you said that you technically were not 100% flat earth, that it was that aspect of talking about, let's say, the solar system and the the lunar thing.
You misunderstand. I was saying that was like an argument against the solar system model, which is like a key aspect of how many people understand it. But I am also a flat earther because I've seen many evidences of the long distance observations where horizon should be a lot closer to you. At a certain heights, but you can see the horizon a lot far. Model.
Okay. You just.
So yeah. Sorry.
I'm saying you just muted out there for like a second or so. So I just want to make sure you're okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, but you know the arguments for and against, so I'm not going to go as I explained in my previous video. I'm not here to debate. I don't want to debate you on the aspects of the things that you follow. That's not the purpose of my communication. The purpose of my communication is to understand exactly what path did you go down to actually come to where you're at. And it just seemed from the way you explained things, it just seemed to be that things came about. I'm going to assume things were explained. They were not, let's say, I can't think of the words I want to use, but there was something missing that didn't give you the level of authenticity about the validity of what was being explained. And you said you saw stuff, you read stuff and that, and I get the impression that those explanations were more in line with actually how you saw things and lined up with how you perceived things. So it was more something that was, in your perspective, a validity of actually how you perceive reality, and you can
and also how it's measured and used as I see it. But there's one thing that I don't know the answer to, and that is why someone would lie about this like at a high level. I can only come up with explanations, but since I have like the evidence against the globe model, that is secondary.
Okay.
That is not making me
Well,
question
again,
evidence
okay.
directly. At least.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the aspect, and again, my background is very scientific. Like, I've got a massive amount of education, so I see things from that perspective and that light. And if someone says, I'm going to provide you evidence, you know very well yourself, if someone provides you or declares a point of evidence, you certainly have the validity of questioning that evidence. And it comes in the aspect of saying, they're providing me this information, I'm questioning them. But it's a two-way street. The aspect is, when you provide something, they actually have the right to also question you. And it's a back and forth. It's an aspect of, who can provide the explanations that they're using to give the validity to their argument that is more concrete. And that comes down the aspect of saying, I can say I have evidence, but it always comes down the aspects of, in the scientific realm, evidence is never accepted without proof. And again, people argue, well, I've got proof, or I got proof. And again, that's aspects of argument-wise, and it just goes the aspect of, who feels who is correct and who comes to the point of validity, going to the process of validating the evidence itself. So,
well, I would say
I have no issue with the fact that you have question marks about it, but I'm hoping that you're comfortable with the fact that other people have questions too, and that it's going to be the aspects of communication that's going to provide the ability for clarification. If you don't communicate, then the aspects of understanding what the other person is saying is going to be difficult.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would also like to say, as I understand it, science mostly demonstrates things and evidences things, uses inductive reasoning rather than deductive reasoning. So I would say it doesn't prove things.
No. I'm going to say right there that actually is incorrect.
Okay.
It's never deductive. In science, it's always concrete. It's always the aspect of, you actually have to provide concrete evidence. Now,
yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I just say it.
No, but I know a lot of people will sit there and say that. So he goes, well, yeah, but your aspect of it is a matter of perspective. And there are some scientific evidence that actually go down that line where they're presenting things, and it does look that way. But when you actually get into the details of it, you can sit there and say, yeah, they've got a lot of it. Like the one thing you hear, like in physics, I don't know if you know about it, but there's a big concept of a big theory that they call string theory. Now, string theory is completely, I'll say hypothetical, because a lot of people actually don't know what theoretical means in the scientific realm. Theory actually has a very specific meaning. But in the aspects of talking about something that has no validity concretely in place, hypothetical is a more concrete way of explaining that. And in string theory itself is a very hypothetical theory. The thing is, there's a massive amount of physicists who feel very strongly about it. And it's all based on the aspects of it. Goes, yeah, they feel strongly about it, but what's their proof? Their proof is all mathematical. The mathematical models are extensive and extremely complicated. But the thing is, they're valid to the physicist, they're valid to the scientist. The thing is, you come to the conclusion of accepting or not accepting. Well, it comes down to the baseline of, well, yeah, but can you provide concrete, factual evidence? And the thing with string theory, they can't. In fact, that's one of the arguments with respect to the physicists who do and do not follow his aspects. He goes, yeah, we understand that the models are concrete, but having a concrete model is not factually correct. That's why they say they need to see the factual evidence for it. And that's what I'm trying to get to, the aspect of science, that it really, truly, in the end, that if it comes down to the aspect of it's a claim, in a scientific, presentation, that there usually is concrete evidence backing it up. And that's where it got to an aspect of, when I tell people, or I hear people talking about it, he goes, well, go look at the evidence. See what the evidence says. Don't look at what people are saying in general. Go down to the concrete, not declaration, the concrete points of confirmation. And see what that says. He goes, does this make sense? And a lot of times it's probably going to be difficult because we're talking about science. We're talking about, let's say, complicated areas of science. I can't think of a better word to say that, but it's complex. And sometimes it's probably hard to actually understand the evidence. And that's probably where it comes down to the aspect of people saying, well, you're taking that on faith. And that could be very well the case. It goes, it's just overly complex that you accept it just for the sake of accepting it, just because you don't have the capability to really understand the explanation. So you accept it in that sort of fashion. And I've heard these kind of arguments before in that aspect, and I'm not going to invalidate those kind of interpretations. I say they're all real. It's all the aspects of, having that level of communication that I think is extremely important, and the ability to explain things to a person that hopefully they can see what it is you're trying to explain to them, where they can sit there and say, yeah, I can see where you're coming from that. And then that's where you have your, let's call it a debate if you want to call it a debate, or an argument if you want to call it an argument, but basically saying, this is what I see, this is what you see. Now, let's write it on a chalkboard. Let's see where the things fall apart and where the things are not, where things are more concrete. And it comes to a point is where you can sit there and you say more comfortable, and you feel more comfortable about the aspects of, this is the conclusions I'm seeing from the, let's say, argument on the other side, and I can see where they're coming from. You may still disagree with them, but at least you can see where they're coming from.
Okay. I don't agree with the you should accept anything on faith. I think you should every part of it should be validated.
No, I agree with you on that part too. I'm just saying in general, sometimes it's difficult, and sometimes people just do. So I'm just saying that's just a consequence of things that people just accept it just because they accept it, and I don't agree that's 100% correct. I'm just saying that's how some people do it.
All right. Yeah. I also agree with you on evidence. You need evidence. Theory is theory about reality. Theory is not just a floating abstraction. It is about the reality we live in. Yeah, it must be tied to evidence. Otherwise, it's just, you could say, hypothetical. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to leave things there. I don't want to drag this out there, and I don't want to, bring you into points that maybe it'll be more of a debate kind of discussion. Because as I stated, I don't want to debate you. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong or right. I'm just here to listen to exactly why you believe, why you follow, what path you went down to get to where you're at. And to me, that's the interesting part. The interesting part about the actual process of being where you're at. And I think I actually understand, at least from your perspective, that it sounds like it was somewhat like a learning activity, that you were brought up with things, that you learned things, that you saw things, that you went through the process of trying to make a conclusion based on what was being presented to you, and you made the conclusion you felt was appropriate. I think I'm okay.
I thought was appropriate.
Yeah. You did say that you're not a religious person, which that actually is very interesting, because a lot of the flat earth people that I do talk about are extremely religious. And the aspect of a lot of the aspects of validity is used from a religious argument. And you didn't, so you're somewhat, well, you said yourself, you're somewhat out on the curb on that, where, you actually do this for non-religious reasons. And that actually is also very interesting to me too. And like I said, I'll leave it there. I want to thank you very much for talking and giving me the information and providing me with clarity.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yes. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye-bye. Okay. So that's A exists. Explanation. It seems more along the lines that I'm thinking there may have been aspects of maybe there was explanations that maybe he didn't grasp completely, because he said there were things that were being explained to him that just were not, clear to him, and that basically, not so much moved him, but made him look at other explanations. And what he looked at, he said he found more validity in that. You can't argue with him for doing that. Everybody does that. It's the aspect of whether or not you can agree with the conclusions that he potentially came with. Well, again, that's a personal perspective. It's the conclusions he came to, and we'll leave him with that. And I'll leave things there. Again, I want to have people subscribe to my channel. So if you can subscribe to my channel because you like what you see, that would be fantastic. If you watch as much as you possibly can watch, that would be fantastic. It would help me out a lot and get my channel activated on YouTube and start making money for me. I want to make money. I can make a song up for that, but I'm not a musical person. But anyways, I'm trying to generate revenue off of my YouTube channel, and I'd like you to help me. So yes, I need your help. So if you can help me out, that'd be fantastic. I'm going to stop things there. And again, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will say goodbye.